So hello everyone, my name is Kunal Gupta and I welcome you all to PW Gulf. चाय पी लो कहीं से, स्वाद मिलेगा यही से. So after a long time I welcome you all again to this amazing platform of PW Gulf. Right, so why I'm saying long time, because I'm there back from the viral fever which I was having from the past 10 days. And of course you guys must be joining because also after a long time, because you are not habitual to studies, right? I know that. Fine. So today we are going to start with the new chapter, that is the nuclear physics or nuclei chapter, right? So this is another important chapter of the modern physics part in which you can score well. As I told you number of times, this modern physics section, it carries a lot weightage, and in fact it can just be a turnaround situation if you do this complete unit wholeheartedly, right? So all of you quickly type in the chat box, how is the Josh, high or low? My name is Kunal Gupta and this smart guy in the photo, it's me only, so please don't get confused, those who are watching me for the first time, right? And I'm very excited taking the session after a long time, right, and meeting you all guys. Quickly type in the chat comment section, how is the Josh, high or low? We are going to discuss a lot many questions based on this chapter, right? PYQs would be there. Fine, I hope so. There, it's there, right? So let us start with the chapter. So today you will get to know how come this submarine can stay underwater for many years. In fact, for 20 years also, right? So there are no wires or cables through which we are transmitting the energy to this, transferring electricity or energy to this submarine. Then how come it can stay underwater for so many years? That reason you will get to know in today's session. So this is the previous year NEET trend. So as you can see, the importance of this chapter in the past few years, it's increasing day by day. Now, which all topics we have to discuss? Previous chapter was related to atoms, as the name suggests, atomic physics or atoms, right? This chapter is related to nucleus or nuclei plural form, right? So here we would be discussing about nuclei, some introductory part would be there. Then we are going to discuss about radioactivity, alpha decay, beta decay, gamma decay, right? After this we would be discussing about mass defect, binding energy per nucleon, and finally nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. Nuclear fusion and nuclear fission. So these all topics we have to discuss in today's session. So any doubt related to these topics, you can of course type in the comment section. So without any delay, let's discuss. So what is an atom? This we had discussed in the previous chapter, that is the chapter atoms. What is atoms? Quickly let me know in the comment section. Fine. So atoms, it's that simplest unit of a element which has the same property as that of the element as per the H.C. Verma, right? Now, inside the atom is the nucleus. Fine. Inside the, let me just explain here only. Inside the atom is the nucleus. Suppose this is the atom. So here is a nucleus. Now just to give you guys an imagination how small is the nucleus, imagine this complete room to be atom. The tip of this pen is the size of the nucleus. The tip of this pen is the size of the nucleus, right? Fine. So atom, this is roughly of the order 10 raised to a power minus 10 meter. Nucleus, this is of the order 10 raised to a minus 15 meter. And so very small. This is 0 point. Okay, let me just show you. This is 0 point 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. I hope 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is 0 point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is the size of a nucleus, right? So very small it is. right? Just tip of the pen and this new term. And we have to study this small portion only in this chapter, that is this nucleus. Now let us dive deep into this nucleus, what usually teachers say. Now I am drawing a nucleus in front of you, zoomed in. Let us dive deep inside this nucleus, and we will find that inside this nucleus there are two entities. Inside this nucleus there are two entities. What are the two entities? The protons and the neutrons. The protons and the neutrons. Don't say the neutrons, they are of cross shape. This is just a resemblance that I had drawn. Protons and neutrons are there inside the nucleus. Fine. Together they are referred to as nucleons. Together they are referred to as nucleons. What do I mean by nucleus? For example, the people from Bihar, Biharis, the people from Haryana, Haryanvis, not Haryanvis exactly, the people from Assam, together collectively all of them, people from UP, people from Jammu and Kashmir, people from Ladakh, people from Delhi, collectively they are referred to as Indians. Similarly, collectively these are also referred to as nucleons. These are referred to as nucleons, right? These protons and neutrons collectively are referred to as nucleons, right? Now let us dive deep into these protons and neutrons, fine. Protons resembled by a symbol P, fine. What is the charge on a proton? 1.6 into plus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb, fine. And what is the mass of the nucleus, mass of the proton? Very heavy it is, 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 27 kg, or 1.6729, that is to be precise, into 10 raised to minus 27 kg. This is the mass of the nucleus, very heavy it is. Now, for simplicity, I can't write this complete mass again and again. So, we refer to this much mass as 1 AMU. Fine. So, there is a slight correction to this. This is referred to as 1 AMU. Or you can write it as 1 mu also. 1 U, 1 AMU. Fine. So, whenever you say 1 AMU, that's 1.6. Roughly, we take it as 1.6 only. 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 27 kg, 1 AMU. Fine. Neutron. Again, charge on the neutron, it's 0 coulomb, that's it, that is, it's neutral. Fine. Neutron, neutral. Neutron, neutral. Proton, positive charge. Again, mass is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 27 kg, or you can write 1 AMU, roughly 1 mu. Fine. Almost mass of both of them is similar. Neutron is slightly, very slight difference is there, it's more than that. But anyways, we, for simplicity, we take both the masses to be same. Right? Now, there are a few terminologies that we need to understand. That is the atomic number, mass number, right, and atomic mass. What is the difference between all three of them? Let us dive deep into again. Right? Hydrogen, helium, lithium. Let us pick an example, helium. Helium 2 4. Right. Helium 2 4. Right. In the atomic table, I remember what used to be the 2. 2 is the atomic number. Okay, fine. First of all, atomic number represented by Z, mass number represented by A. Right. And we write it like this. X. Here we write the atomic number. Here we write the mass number, right? Or you write atomic number, it's given by Z, mass number is given by A. It's opposite. You can learn like that. Atomic number not by A, by Z. Mass number A. So this is the symbol how we represent atomic number and mass number. Now what is atomic number? What is mass number? Atomic number is the number of protons inside the nucleus. Number of protons inside the nucleus. In this case, atomic number is equal to 2. That is, there are 2 protons. Number of protons. Number of protons. What is mass number? That is represented by A. Number of protons plus neutrons. In this case, it is 4. Number of protons plus neutrons, that is mass number. Right. 2 protons, 2 neutrons. Now, let us suppose I am writing hydrogen 1, 1, hydrogen 1, 2, hydrogen 1, 3. And my question is very simple to you guys. How many protons are there? First of all, what is the atomic number? 1. What is the mass number? 1. What is the atomic number? 1. What is the mass number? 2. What is the atomic number? 1. What is the mass number? 3. Fine. How many protons are there? If I am not wrong, protons are 1. Number of protons are 1. How many neutrons are there? This is protons and this is protons plus neutrons. I think number of neutrons are 0. Correct? 1 here is the proton only, na? So, yeah. Number of protons 1. Number of neutrons how many? 1. Number of protons 1. Number of neutrons 3 minus 1, 2. Clear? Clear? Any doubt in this? Quickly let me know in the comment section. Type in the comment section if all the things are clear. Now there is a new terminology, not a new terminology, it might be new for you because you don't know what is this, atomic mass. Usually student gets confused with the mass number. Mass number is a number of protons plus number of neutrons. On the other hand, atomic mass, mass of the atom, atomic mass of the atom. What is the mass of the nucleus, you can say. Mass of the atom is due to the mass of the nucleus only. Mass of this nucleus. What is the mass of this nucleus? Mass number is the number of protons plus number of neutrons. What is the mass of this nucleus? That is the atomic mass. And how much is the mass? Let me just hold this and wait. Okay, fine. So the mass of this is how many protons are there, how many neutrons are there, into mass of 1 proton or 1 neutron or 1 nucleon. Since most of them is mass of, both their mass is same, so 1 nucleon. Right? So number of protons plus number of neutrons, if I am not wrong, this is equal to number of protons plus number of neutrons, this is equal to mass number represented by A. A into what is mass of 1 nucleon? 1 AMU. Fine. So this is atomic mass, or you can simply write AMU. So this is atomic mass, mass of the atom, right? So don't get confused with the mass number. Mass number, it's a number, and it's how much mass it is. It's measured in kg or AMU, you can say. All right, here comes another important topic regarding the properties of the nucleus. Fine. Now, what is the shape of the nucleus? Quickly let me know in the comment section. What is the shape of the nucleus? Cuboid, circle, cube, cylindrical, spherical. For practical purpose, we take the shape of the nucleus to be spherical. Though there is slight deviation of 10%. For practical purpose, we take, this is not a circle, it's a sphere. Nucleus that I had drawn previously also, it was a sphere. Fine, it was a sphere. It was like this, it was a sphere, not a circle. Fine. Okay, size of the nucleus. Basically, they are asking how much would be the radius of the nucleus, right? Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Right? Now, I had named these elements in front of you, or in increasing order of their atomic number. Correct? In increasing order of their atomic numbers. Now, understand carefully. Hydrogen, size of helium nucleus would be more than hydrogen, that of lithium would be more. that of beryllium would be more, that of boron would be more, that of carbon would be more, that of nitrogen would be more, and so on. Basically radius I am talking about, radius, or you can say size, in increasing order it is. Can I say the radius or size, here let me write size here, volume. Radius we will come later on, fine. The volume is more, fine. It's more bigger. Can I say volume is directly proportional to the atomic number? Oh sorry, the mass number, fine. Okay, yeah, okay, let me just explain you again. So basically, yeah, it should have been mass number, not atomic number previously, fine. The mass number, right? If there are more number of nucleons, right, that is protons plus neutrons, and that is nothing but mass number. If there are more number of nucleons, then more would be the size of the nucleus, correct? If there are more number of nucleons inside, then more would be the size of the nucleus. Am I correct? Correct, sir. Fine. So can I say volume is directly proportional to the mass number, that is the A? Can I say this? Yes sir, you can say this. No. Volume 4 by 3 pi r cube, this is directly proportional to A. If you want, you can say in all the things that side r cube, it's directly proportional to 3 by 4 pi A, fine. Or you can write r cube, this is equal to some constant k dash into 3 upon 4 pi, this is equal to A. And you can take 1 by 3 both sides. If you want, you can take 1 by 3 both sides. Fine. 3k dash upon 4 pi. 4 raised to power 1 by 3, and this A also raised to power 1 by 3. Or simply you can write R is equal to, this complete factor is a constant, that is R naught. That is R naught. R is equal to R naught into A raised to the power 1 by 3. Here is the radius of the nucleus, which depends upon the mass number A. More the number of nucleons inside the nucleus, larger would be the size of the nucleus. Larger would be the size of the nucleus. Larger would be the size of the nucleus. Right? Okay. And yeah. What is the value of R naught, sir? R naught is equal to 1.2 into 10 raised to minus 15 meter. 1.2 per meter it is also referred to as. Okay. Now comes the density of the nucleus, that is rho. That is the mass per unit volume. Mass, atomic mass upon volume. Density of the nucleus, that is the mass of the nucleus divided by the volume of the nucleus. Right. So let us try one question, 3 marker, Delhi 2019. Fine. Show that the density of the nucleus is independent of the mass number A. Fine. Okay, so we have a nucleus. So we have a nucleus having density rho and mass number A. Having mass number A. Fine. Now we know density, this is equal density of the nucleus, this is equal to the mass of the nucleus, or you can say mass of the complete atom, atomic mass upon volume. What is the mass of this nucleus or mass of the complete atom? Atomic mass, just now we had seen atomic mass, AMU. Divided by volume. I think this is 4 by 3 pi r cube. where r is the radius of this nucleus. R is the radius of this nucleus, and radius of the nucleus, this is equal to how much? R naught into a raised to the power 1 by 3. R naught into a raised to the power 1 by 3. Can I substitute here? Yes sir, you can substitute here. Instead of 1 AMU, if you want, you can write 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 27 kg. Yeah. 4 by 3 pi, instead of r cube, you may write r naught into a raised to power 1 by 3 whole cube. Right? This is cube of this complete. R cube it is, no? Or in fact, let me write it here only. R cube is how much? This will become r naught cube into a. Right? So let me write this directly here. R naught, in fact, you can write r naught as how much? 1.2 into 10 raised to minus 15 whole cube into a. Right? Now substitute here 1.2 into 10 raised to minus 15 whole cube into a. Right? So this a and a gets cancelled out. A and a gets cancelled out, and clearly you can see in the final answer there is no term of a. That is, the density does not depends upon the mass number, whether the mass number is more, whether it is iron or it's calcium, the density remains same, and that is roughly equal to 2 into 10 raised to 17 roughly. When I had solved this, I got 2 into 10 raised to 17 kg per meter cube. Kg per meter cube roughly. So this density is independent upon the mass number. Which element you are talking about, it is not depending upon that. Another important concept here. Right? Yes, I know this sounds very skeptical to you, that iron should have more nuclear density, but it's almost the same. These after side effects of viral fever are very bad. Throat is gone, and its nose is running, and headache. This complete head is blocked. Right? So I hate winter seriously, because winters are that season in which I get ill. Right? And past 3-4 years in fact have been very bad, the winters. The best winters were of 2019, in which I hadn't got ill even once. I remember very well those winters. Two nuclei have their mass numbers in this ratio, that is mass number A1 is to A2. This is given to you as 1 is to 3. The ratio of their nuclear density. This is being asked. Quickly pause the video and type the correct answer in the chat. Pause the video and type the correct answer in the chat. It does not depend upon the mass number. 1 is to 1. Right? Density of all the nucleus, it's almost the same. So ratio will be rho is to rho. That turns out to be 1 is to 1. 2 into 10 raised to 7 upon 2 into 10 raised to 7. Fine. Now comes a very important concept, that is of radioactivity. Fine. Now what is radioactivity? Fine. Turning on the radio when you get bored from your studies is radioactivity. Correct? Fine. Switching off the physics video and listening to radio is radioactivity. Now there are thousands of, more than thousands, not thousands of, there are more than 1,000, around 1500. So in some books it's written 1000, in some books it's written 1500 known elements to us. Right? Now, nuclei, sorry, not elements. There are 1000 known nuclei to us. Of this, more than 250 are stable and rest are unstable. Right? Now, what does this unstable nuclei does? What does this unstable nuclei does? Right? Fine. Suppose. Fine. You are not able to study physics, right? Physics is the subject that you hate the most. Quickly type in the comment section how many of you hate physics subject or the physics teacher most. Right? I know. No sir, we love physics. Okay, fine. So you are not able to concentrate on your studies. Reason being, there are not many distractions due to which you get unstable, right? So that those distractions are the major source of you can say restriction in your life. Now to focus on your studies, what you are going to do, remove the distractions, correct? Now to make this element stable, sorry, this nuclei stable, it is going to emit either alpha particle or beta particle and gamma rays to become stable. And this, what is alpha particle, what is beta particle, I am going to explain you in the next slide, don't worry. Alpha particle, I know most of you won't be knowing it, but yeah, I will explain again. Now, this process is referred to as radioactivity in simple terms. In your school exams, they would say that we are deleted the alpha decay and beta decay, but understand it is important to know the key concepts. Fine, otherwise it won't be clear to you. I don't know why they have deleted this, but otherwise it was an important topic. Now, what is alpha decay? When an unstable nuclei emits alpha particle to become stable, this is referred to as alpha decay. What is alpha particle? Helium 2 plus, doubly ionized helium atom. Doubly ionized helium atom. Basically, this is what it is emitting. So there was a parent nuclei having some atomic number. So there was a parent nuclei having some atomic number and some mass number. Atomic number and some mass number, that this was unstable, of course. It had emitted helium 2,4. Now maintain the neutrality, or you can say the numbers, right? So from Z, 2 has gone, right? Of course a daughter nuclei would be formed. Now just use logic. What would be the atomic number and the mass number of the daughter nuclei? Use the logic for it, right? 2 are gone from Z, so Z minus 2. 4 are gone, so A minus 4. Simple as that. 2 are gone, 4 are gone. So this is the daughter nuclei, which is stable as compared to the unstable parent nuclei. And here are a few examples in front of you. That is the uranium 92, 238. So it had emitted an alpha particle, that is helium 2,4, right? And the product formed, the daughter nuclei formed, was thorium. Now what exactly, why exactly they do so, let me just explain you. Okay. If I ask you how many neutrons are there or how many protons are there, you will say, sir, 92. How many neutrons are there? How many neutrons are there? 92 protons are there in this 238. There are protons plus neutrons. So subtract 92 from there. 238. Not understanding, these are the number of protons and here are the number of neutrons. Here are the number of protons plus neutrons, right? So 238 minus 92, right? So this will become how much? Minus 100. 138 plus 8. 138 plus 8, 146. Correct? 913. Yeah, correct. Yeah. 146 would be the number of neutrons. If I talk about this, how many protons are there? 90 protons are there. How many neutrons are there? How many neutrons are there? Just subtract 90 from this. 134, 144 would be there. 144 would be there. Correct? Yeah, correct. 90, 144, 244, 234. Yes, correct. Fine. Now, basically, there is some ratio of N in P. Fine. That is the N is to P ratio. Now, the unstable nuclei, when it breaks here, when you find the ratio of N is to P increases. So, like that, you can say to increase the ratio of the NP, the stable atom usually it has a more NP ratio. In other words, you can say. Fine. And there is another example of bismuth breaking into thallium, correct? It is thallium. Okay. Okay, is this question we need to do right now? A nucleus at rest decays emitting alpha particle if the energy of the daughter nuclei is this much. Q value of the reaction is, okay, how much energy is released? Okay, this we are going to do in a while. Now comes the beta decay. Fine. So in beta decay, beta particle is emitted. In beta decay, beta particle is emitted. Now this you would be hearing it of for the first time. This beta particle could be of two types. This beta particle could be of two types. Beta plus particle and beta minus particle. Beta plus particle and beta minus particle. Fine. Beta plus particle and beta minus particle. Right. Now what is beta minus particle? That is nothing but an electron only. And what is beta plus particle? This is referred to as positron. What is positron? Let me just explain it. Electron, it was having a charge of minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. So this positron, it would be positively charged first of all and having a charge equal to that of electron. Right? Mass would be almost negligible for both of them. Right? So this is a beta particle. Now you have to study beta minus decay and then beta plus decay. Beta minus decay and beta plus decay. What is beta minus decay? Let us understand. Now, suppose here is the parent nucleus. X. Atomic number, mass number. X is there. And there is a beta minus decay. Beta minus decay it is no? Yeah, beta minus decay. Right. Now in beta minus decay, a electron would be released, fine, having a negative charge. No. And a daughter nuclei would be formed. Now this electron, it's better you represent it here like this, E minus 1 like this, and this as E plus 1. Else it would be easy for you to understand, E minus 1. Write it here, E minus 1. 1 minus 1 is here, fine. So what should be here so that finally you get Z? You can think like that at the back of your mind. Here it should be Z plus 1. Only then in the daughter nuclei, here it should be Z plus 1. Only then you are going to get the parent nuclear back. Z plus 1 minus 1, you would be getting Z only. Fine. On the other hand, there is no change in the mass number, so this remains the same. So this is the daughter nuclear. This is the daughter nuclei. Any doubt in this? You may ask. This is the beta minus decay, and by the way, there is something called anti-neutrino release. There is a complete theory behind this, right? Pauli's exclusion principle. Yeah, that we may discuss some day else. So this anti-neutrino is also released with this, and yeah, and here is an example for carbon in front of you. Isotope of a carbon C614, right? Nitrogen is formed from this. Now let us talk about beta plus decay. Here is a daughter parent nuclei. x atomic number, mass number. Beta plus, so a positron would be released here, right, and a daughter nuclei would be formed. Here a Z minus 1 and A formed. So this is a daughter nuclei. Whenever you want to just check consistency of your equation, Z minus 1 plus 1, you would be getting Z. A plus 0, you would be getting A. You can equate the atomic number and masses number like that. You need to conserve them. Okay. Moving ahead, after the 1 alpha emission and 2 beta minus emission, right? What is the mass number or atomic number reduces by? Fine. Okay, let us see. So there is a parent, whose parent we don't know, having some atomic number A, having some atomic number Z. Even I do sometimes mistake in this. Having atomic number Z, mass number A, right? So they are saying there is a alpha emission, fine. That is helium-24 is released. So what would be left? A daughter, Z minus 2, A minus 4. Correct? Correct? Correct. Now, there are 2 beta minus emission. There are 2 beta minus emission. Electron minus 1. First emission is there and another emission is there. Right? So, let me write it here only, just to save the space. Alright, or you can do in 2 steps. First beta minus emission. Right? You can write it as y dash. So this is gone, just add 1 to this and to maintain the neutrality, Z minus 2 plus 1, plus minus minus Z minus 1. And this remains as it is, A minus 4, A minus 4, fine. No. Anything else here? Anything else here? Yeah. Another 2 beta emissions are there. No? Y double dash. Just add 1 to this, Z would be remain and this remains as it is, A minus 4. So clearly you can see mass number gets reduced. Mass number initially this was how much? A. And finally this is A minus 4. Mass number. So mass number gets reduced by 4. That is option number B. Right? And any other option matching? Mass number reduced? No. Mass number reduced by 2? No. Atomic number reduced by 4? No. Take this as homework. Try this question out. Take this also as homework. Try this question out. You guys may pause the video and do try out these questions, right? Okay. Another important question, AIPMT 2007. All India pre-medical test. Write 3 characteristics feature to distinguish between nuclear force and Coulomb's force. First of all, what is nuclear force and what is Coulomb's force? None of you had imagined or asked me that, sir, inside the nucleus there are protons which are positively charged, and our teacher has told that positive repel each other. So nucleus would have become very unstable in very less time. Correct? It would have become unstable in very less time because positive repel each other, and due to repulsion it would have become unstable, but this is not happening. Why? Why? Coulomb force is there. Basically, what is Coulomb's force? What is Coulomb's force? There are 2 charges, positive charge here and positive charge here. Right? So repulsion between them, it's referred to as Coulomb's force. Right? FQ you can write. If there is a positive charge and there is a negative charge, so they would be of course attracting them each other. Coulomb's force, negative charge, repulsion. Yeah, correct. Fine. Now understand. What is nuclear force? Inside the nucleus are the protons and of course the neutrons. Neutrons are not denoted by cross, it's just my resemblance through which I am representing it. Now, here comes into action a force called nuclear force. What is nuclear force? Force between the nucleus, attractive force between the nucleons is referred to as nucleons. Is referred to as nuclear force. I'm sorry. Fine. So there is another force that comes into action. This neutron would be attracting this. This proton would be attracting this neutron. This neutron would be attracting this neutron. This proton would be attracting this proton. Right. Fine. Always attractive. Right. Inside the nucleus, which is counteracting this positive repelling each other, so, which is counteracting this Coulomb's force, and that's why this nucleus is stable, right? So between proton, neutron, and neutron, right? Between proton, and that electron, proton, etc. you can do yourself. Fine. So here is the difference that lies between them. And of course it's quite stronger, right? Now comes the new topic and very important topic, that is the energy mass equivalence. Now Einstein, in its special theory of relativity, he said that energy and mass are equivalent. That is, mass is nothing but it is a form of energy. Mass is nothing, just give me a second. Okay, fine. So in his theory, special theory of relativity, he said that energy and mass are equivalent, right? That is, mass is nothing but it is a form of energy. Mass is nothing but it is a form of energy. Energy is mass. Mass is energy. What do I mean by this? Let me just explain you with the help of an example. There is a ball kept here. There is a ball kept in front of you. It would be having some mass, correct? It would be having some mass. There is another identical ball. When I say identical, shape and size is same, fine. But it is moving with some energy, right? It is moving with some energy, it is having some energy. It is having some energy associated with it. Whose mass would be more? As of now, for the first instance, even when I saw this, it seems that mass of both the balls are identical, so mass would be same. But the thing is, the second ball, it was moving with certain velocity, it was moving with certain speed, or you can say it was possessing some energy, and energy is nothing but it's interconvertible with mass. So you can say it was having some amount of energy more, or you can say it was having some more mass equivalent to it. So this would be, though the increase in mass would be very less, but yes, mass of that would be more. Why? Because it was having some energy, and energy is nothing but its mass, right? According to Einstein, mass can be converted into energy and energy into mass. So that the energy got converted into mass with the help of this equation. Okay, when you write E is equal to mc square, sir, what does it mean? E is equal to mc square or del mc square? Del m would be better term. Suppose I am standing here and my mass got changed. There was slightly change in my mass, right? Suppose 1 kg of mass change was there, and you are wondering where did that mass went. That mass would have been converted into energy in the second case. Fine. So this equation explains this phenomenon. What is mass defect? Now let me just show you an experiment, not exactly experiment, but yeah. How the nucleus is formed? With the help of nucleons, correct? How the nucleus is formed? With the help of nucleons, that is the protons and neutrons. Right? Imagine these are the protons and neutrons which are going to combine, right? Fine. So protons and neutrons are there, fine. They were scattered and they were having some mass, right? There was some mass of the proton and there was some mass of the neutron. Fine. Now I combined all of them. And I had formed a nucleus. Fine. How a nucleus is formed? With the help of these nucleons, correct? So I had formed a nucleus. Now there was some mass of this complete nucleus. Capital M. Now my question is, what will be the mass of the nucleus? Will it be the same as the combination of both of them, or will it be more than it, or will it be less than this? There were nucleons, fine, and I had put them inside a massless box, imagine, right, such as to form one nucleus, right? So nucleus is formed when all of them combine, right? What would be the mass of this complete box? If you have the mass of the individual three nucleons, right, that is the protons and the neutrons. Yes, this capital M would be the same as that of the product, right? You can or reactant, you can say, not exactly reactants. Yes. Practically we found that the mass of the nucleus was less than its constituent nucleons. Yes, you heard it right. This complete mass M minus MP plus Mn, it should have been same and this would have been 0, but yes, but it wasn't 0. There was, in fact, it was slightly less than the constituent nucleons. There was some mass defect. Can I say there was some mass defect? Yes, sir, you can say there was some mass defect. Where did this mass went? I will tell you later on. But yes, there was some mass defect. That is, the mass of the nucleus is less than its constituent nucleons. This is referred to as mass defect. Imagine you are making tea. You had added sugar. You had added what you add? Salt? No. Coriander leaves? No. What you add? Milk, water, right? And my mother adds a lot of water to save milk. And what else you add in the tea? That chai patti, correct? Okay, fine. Or jaggery also. No, jaggery, whatever you add, fine. Imagine the mass of the ingredients, it's more than the mass of the final tea that you got. It was completely isolated though. Fine. So that is referred to as the mass defect. Where did the mass went? First question that should arise in your mind. That I am going to explain you in the next slide. But as of now, this is referred to as mass defect. Okay, and here is the complete theory written in terms of their variables. They had written it here. Mass of the nucleus is always less than the sum of the masses of the constituent nucleons. Okay, this is more. In fact, I should have written it like this. This is more, na? And the finally formed atom or the nucleus, this is having lesser mass. So some mass defect is there. Where did this mass went? Energy. Where did this mass went? Energy, right? Fine. And that energy is nothing but binding energy. That energy is nothing but binding energy, or you may write it as EB. This is referred to as binding energy. This is referred to as binding energy. Fine. Now, binding energy. Now imagine it the way, imagine it the other way. What is binding energy? What is binding energy? Energy release is due to the mass defect. As of now, you know this. Now, what if I give this complete energy to this nucleus? What if I give this complete energy to the nucleus? What is going to happen? What if I give this complete energy to this nucleus? What exactly is going to happen? It is going to break into its constituent nucleons, constituent protons or neutrons, you can say. Fine. So what exactly is binding energy? Or can I say this much energy is holding these nucleons? If I give this much energy to this, it is going to break, right? Fine. This much energy is required to break into constituent nucleons. And so binding energy is the energy, binding energy is the energy which can break the nucleus into its constituent nucleons, right? Which is written here. Binding energy of the nucleus is the energy required to split it into its constituent nucleons, denoted by EB, and that is nothing but delta mc square. Clear? Clear? Any doubt in this? You may ask. Any doubt in this? You may ask. Delta m c square. Right? Sometimes it is written as delta m into 931 mega electron volt, like that also it is written. Right? Okay. Now here comes another concept of binding energy per nucleon. As of now, we know that this nucleus, there is some binding energy associated with this nucleus. And there are some nucleons, number of nucleons, that's the mass number, that is A. Fine. Fine. These many A number of nucleons are there. Fine. 5, 10, 6. Fine. Now there is something called binding energy per nucleon. Fine. That is binding energy divided by the number of nucleons, or you can say mass number. Fine. There is this term which tells us about the stability, of the nucleus. Binding energy was not a reliable term. Why it wasn't a reliable term? Let me just explain you why. Suppose there are two of your friends, A Santa and Banta. He is earning rupees 2 lakh per month. On the other hand, he is earning rupees 40,000 or 50,000 per month. According to you, who is more stable? Quickly type in the comment section, according to you, who is more stable, Santa or Banta? Obviously Santa. Correct? But just a second, I forgot to tell you one more thing. There are 20 members in his family and he is the only earning person. There are 2 members in his family, he and his wife, and he is the only earning person, right? What is the earning per person? 20,000 divided by, I think, rupees 10,000 per person or per member. On the other hand, earning here is rupees 25,000 per member. Which was more reliable term? Income or income per member? Income per member. Correct? Now similarly in this case, Binding energy, it doesn't tell about the stability, whereas binding energy per nucleon, it tells about the stability of the element. Okay, fine. So here is the binding curve. Once it in board exams they had asked to draw the binding curve. So on the x-axis is the mass number A. Fine. That is the number of protons per nucleus. 0, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250 mass number is there. On the y-axis, it's the binding energy per nucleon in mega electron volt. The binding energy per nucleon in mega electron volt. Here it is 0 mega electron volt, 2 electron volt, 4 electron volt, 6 electron mega electron volt, 8 mega electron volt, 10 mega electron volt. For a few elements, let us understand these elements: uranium, etc. Fine. So binding energy for them, it was roughly 7.7 mega electron volt. Sorry, binding energy per nucleon. On the other hand, for these hydrogen, etc., it was around 1.1, 1.2 like that mega electron volt. On the other hand, for iron, which was the most stable, binding energy was 8.8 mega electron volt. Now, there is one takeaway from this stability. Okay, one more thing. These iron being the most stable. Why? Because the binding energy per nucleon, it is linked to the stability. More the binding energy per nucleon, more is the stability. So more is the binding energy per nucleon, so most is this stable, right? Where is my water bottle? Fine. Now from here you can clearly see a few are having very less binding energy per nucleon. On the other hand, a few have very much. Just a second. Yeah. These viral side effects are very bad, literally. Okay. Fine. Now, there are two takeaways. As I told you previously, the unstable, why unstable? Because their binding energy is less. Here, by the way, these are referred to as heavy nuclei. Why heavy nuclei? Because as you can see, the mass number is quite large. And these are referred to as light nuclei because mass number is very less. Now, understand, the heavy nuclei, they dissociate or they disintegrate. Fine. The heavy nuclei, they disintegrate into lighter nuclei. They may disintegrate into 2 or more nuclei to increase their binding energy per nucleon. Fine. They disintegrate to increase their binding energy per nucleon. And this process is referred to as nuclear fission. And this process is referred to as nuclear fission in front of you. Okay, we will come back to this in a while. Fine. On the other hand, the lighter nuclei, they combine to increase their binding energy per nucleon, or you can say overall binding energy, to increase their binding energy. Fine. And this process is referred to as nuclear fusion, which happens in sun. Fine. This has happened in Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Fine. Atom bomb and hydrogen bomb. Fine. Now let us understand this small graph in front of you. Now, as you can see, what is nuclear fusion? Disintegration of a heavy nucleus into lighter. Fine. It is a nuclear reaction in which heavy nucleus splits into two or more smaller lighter nuclei, most fusion being binary. 4 out of 1000 fusions are ternary, right? Fine. So that is a heavy nucleus. This disintegrates into two lighter nuclei. Fine. And with this, energy is released, which is of our importance and which we use to you can say to generate electricity, right? So this energy release is used to generate electricity. That's why how nuclear fission is of our use. Now the problem with the nuclear fission is, understand carefully, how does this happen? So U-235 you had taken, you had bombarded it with a neutron. You had bombarded it with a neutron being electrically neutral, right? Fine. And the element so found was U-236. Now this is unstable. Now since this is unstable, what it is going to do? Since this is unstable, what it is going to do is, it is going to break, disintegrate into two daughter nuclei, barium and krypton. 56 144 36 89. With this, 3 more neutrons are released. 3 more neutrons are released. 3 more neutrons are released. 3 more neutrons are released, and of course accompanied by some energy. In fact, much high energy it is accompanied by. 3 neutrons are released. This is how nuclear fission happens. Right? So binding energy per nucleon would have been less for this. Binding energy per nucleon for this has been more. In fact, binding energy overall would have been more in this case. And this, since its binding energy has increased, so it would be accompanied by with some energy which is released here, which we can utilize, but we might not be able to utilize. Fine. Why? Now, the problem with this reaction is, watch out, 3 neutrons are released more. Imagine I have a bag full with uranium. I had bombarded it with 1 neutron, right? I had bombarded it with 1 neutron, an unstable uranium formed and breaked, and 3 more neutrons are produced. These 3 more neutrons, is there only 1 uranium atom inside this bag? There are millions. So these 3 are going to combine with the next 3 uranium atom, and that again 3 neutrons, those 3 are going to combine with the next 3, and so on. A chain would be formed, and enormous amount of energy can be released, and this is referred to as chain reaction. Let me just explain you what exactly I am trying to say. Very important, because here lies the concept of you can say humanity, right? Either you can use it for constructive purpose or destructive purpose from here only. Fine. So you had used 1 neutron, bombarded it with uranium. Fine. 3 more neutrons were released. Inside that bag is only 1 uranium? No, there are more uranium. There are more uranium. And as soon as it combines with this, further 3 more neutrons are released. N01, N01, and finally N01. Here also 3 would be released. Okay, one more thing. Okay, fine. Let me just explain you after this. N01 and finally N01. Here also 3 would be released. N01, N01, N01. Again, they are going to combine with the uranium. Okay, fine. So here some energy was released, of course. Fine. Here some energy would be released. Here some energy would be released. Here some energy would be released. As they combine. Fine. Okay, I should have written it here on the arrow. Some energy is released as they combine. 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 Enormous. Watch out carefully. Energy is multiplying, or you can say it's increasing as this reaction is happening further. As this reaction is happening further, and this is nothing but chain reaction. This is not going to stop unless and until the complete fuel, that is the uranium, gets finished. Again some energy would be released here, 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 and here. So in this way this might have become uncontrollable. And this is what has happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. When you use the nuclear fuel to generate enormous or tremendous amount of energy, that is referred to as you can say nuclear bomb, right, which you make, or atom bomb, fine, which USA did on Japan. So they had, this is referred to as uncontrolled fission. Uncontrolled fission, which is happening on its own with the help of the 3 neutrons produced. But it may happen, 3 neutrons are produced, you may absorb the 2 neutrons and will not let the reaction happen here. Again 3 neutrons are produced, you may absorb this and you will not let happen the reaction happen. As you can see, energy here is released in you can say in controlled manner. So this is what we use, or what we do in nuclear reactors. This is what we use or what we do in the nuclear reactor. So this is in controlled manner, controlled fission. Here you can take the example of atom bomb, which USA dropped on the Japan, and here nuclear reactors, which we use to generate electricity. What happens in the nuclear fusion, which usually happens in the sun? Here the lighter nuclei, they combine to form a heavy nuclei, right, and in this way some energy is released, and this is referred to as nuclear fusion. Fine. Let us try a few questions based on this, and then we would be moving ahead. Fine. Okay, here is the reaction for the sun. I think they have written it. Yeah, sometimes they can ask you the nuclear reaction inside the sun, so you may refer to this also. Right. This is not R, it's comma. Some printing mistakes are there. Okay. Why is the mass of the nucleus always less than the sum of the masses of its constituents? 2019. That is due to mass effect. Mass defect, sorry. Due to mass defect. Fine. Next question. Which of the following are suitable for fusion process? Fusion they are asking, not fission. Fusion, that is nothing but combining the lighter nuclei, right? Fusion. Fine. Light nuclei. Fine. How does the binding energy per nucleon vary with the increase in the mass number? Karnataka NEET 2013. Okay. Fine. Binding energy per nucleon with the mass number. As you can see, it first increases, fine, and then slightly decreases. Fine. So is this there in the option? First increases and then decreases with the increase in the mass number. Fine. Next question. Try this question. You would be able to do this. Try this question. This also. Let me do this one. Fine. Calculate the energy released in mega electron volt in the following reaction 2022. Fine. So I would be giving you slide just how to do this. So here is the reaction in front of you. H12 plus H13. This forms helium 24 and a neutron is released 0 1. Okay. So masses of all four of them are given in front of you. They are asking how much energy would be released. Right? So mass of this is given, mass of this is also given, mass of this is given, mass of this is given. Right? So I think you can find the how much is the mass defect, and with the help of mass defect you can find how much energy is released. Right? Right? So how you will find the mass defect? Very simple. Mass of the products formed minus mass of the reactants. Okay. These are the products. This is helium, misprinting. This plus and this. So these are the products formed, right? And these are the reactants. Just add both of them, and subtract this from this, and you will get the mass. Okay. Similar is this question. Do try it as homework. Okay. And here we come to the end of our lecture. Thank you very much for choosing PW Gulf. I hope this ultimate recap series would have helped you out. Do let me know in the comment section your feedback, and yes, do let me know if you want to practice more questions based on these topics. Next time we would be increasing the number of questions or the duration of the lecture. Fine. So thank you very much for choosing PW Gulf. Do try the homework and make sure you type in the comment section the correct answer of these questions. Thank you very much for choosing PW Gulf.